Hey everyone, it's Warriors NRL Fanatics. Welcome back to the channel. And tonight I've got three special guests joining me to help me preview the 2024 season for our boys, the One New Zealand Warriors. And joining me is Ash there on the right, and down the bottom I've got Brad from Ingers League Wrap Up and Levon from Waz Up Podcast. So how you boys going? It's great to have you on, and looking forward to previewing the season ahead for the Warriors.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, really keen for the season ahead. The trials was very, very promising. We saw RTS in his new position and that, which got us really keen for the season coming up. We got a little bit of a week to wait and all that comparatively to the Vegas teams, but I'm excited, man.
Yeah, just happy to be on and looking forward to some footy. Couldn't come soon enough for me.
Yeah, man, I'm massively excited for the season, what it holds, and big up everyone on the panel, Ash, Brad, and Fanatics. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to this one.
Yep, awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to preview the season ahead. Go through the squad, players to watch, the draw, what are your thoughts on the draw, and also our predictions, how we think the boys are going to finish on the table at the end of the year. So why don't we get into it? So first things first, we'll get into the draw. So the draw is the first thing here. So what are you guys' thoughts on the draw to start the season? So the first 6 games, just go through the first 6 games. We have the Sharks next Friday night there at Go Media Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland. Then we got the Melbourne Storm in round 2, so not on Anzac Day this year, and that's in Melbourne. Then we got the Raiders, Knights, Rabbits, and Manly. So what are your thoughts there on those first 6 games?
Yeah, bro. I think, to be honest, to start the season, we got a tone setter, obviously, with the Sharkies to build into the season. They'll be a tough outfit, but I do believe that we can get over the top of them. The Melbourne Storm is definitely that team that we are benchmarking by the look of it, of where our team might be sitting this year. So to pick up a win against Melbourne in Melbourne would be the big tick for us, especially with all these other teams here. The other one I do want to mark down is also the Rabbits, because these are teams that we weren't able to beat last year. Me and Levon have gone through it as well, and we just want to see our boys get over that little hump of beating certain teams like the Melbourne Storm, the Panthers, the Rabbits, the Roosters, these sort of outfits. So we got a chance to do that very early on the season. I feel like we got a good run in between there with the Raiders not looking as strong this year. And obviously the Knights is a team that everyone is comparing with us, who's going to go up and down with the ladder and all that. I'm really excited to see us take that test on and really show our premiership pedigree coming into this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I think that Storm game in round 2 is kind of going to be the measuring stick. We've got a lot of expectations on this team this year, and how they go in round 2, I think is going to either temper those expectations or blow them sky high. So, I'm really looking forward to that one. A win over the Storm in Melbourne would be a huge take. I don't even remember the last time we did it.
Yeah,
in Melbourne. It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah, 2014, I think it was. Was it Fixtures, big game? I can't remember.
Yep.
Might be.
Too long. Yep.
But that's it for me. Storm's the measuring stick game. We need that one.
Yeah, man. For me, it's the same as boys. In Melbourne aways early in the season, we look pretty healthy. So I would like, and the boys look good. So off of what we've seen, I'd like to see a good, strong performance away in a couple of weeks' time. The other one is, again, I'm like me and Ash have been talking about it, kind of getting revenge or at least beating teams that we lost to last year. So Penrith at Magic Round, I know it's not in the next 4-6 weeks, but it's a big one that we should be earmarking to make another statement. But those are my key ones at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, well said there. Yeah, look, I think obviously those games, I think definitely the round 1 clash against the Sharks is to start the season off, get a win early on, and then the Melbourne Storm, that's a very key game. I reckon that's a key game. It's just round 2. It's a really important game because going down to Melbourne, we have had our struggles against the Melbourne Storm over the years, and we haven't beaten them in a while. So I think us beating them will be very important moving forward. And the Knights game is in round 4, which I'll be going to. Actually, I'll be going to. I'll be in Auckland for that. So yeah, looking forward to being there. And yeah, Souths. Souths are definitely a team that we've struggled against last year, especially, and it would be nice to get a win over them as well. Because what are you guys' thoughts on? Because last year we struggled against the top sides, Penrith, the Rabbits. Well, the Rabbits didn't finish in the top 8, but we struggled against the Roosters and the Broncos and Penrith. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Like this year, we really need to beat those teams, to be a chance of being a threat in the competition. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think it's honestly the measuring stick this year. Like we need to be that team if we want to obviously contend, get back in the top 4 this year. And for people to give respect about our squad, obviously we need to beat these certain teams. And I want to say, this Melbourne game that's coming up, obviously I do want to win it and all that. But it's so good it is so early on in the season that, we can, if everything doesn't go right there, at least we can retrack our steps and keep working on. Then the Rabbitohs become the game that we really want to stamp our foot down on. I think that, we have certain teams around that seem to be our bogey teams at the moment, like the Rabbitohs, the Roosters. The Roosters always seem to be a team that we really struggle with, especially away. I want to see us get over the top of these teams because I feel like having the excuse of playing really well against those teams and just not getting over the hump is not the type of talk we want to have this year, if that makes sense, especially with the team that we have now. Because we put up a valiant effort against the Melbourne Storm where a couple of calls didn't go away. We had a ton of injuries last year. That was the excuse. We never got the chance to really do that again, to really prove ourselves after that. Same with the Roosters. We had it was a really wet game, low scoring very later on in the year, where we wanted to really get over the top of them as well. So I just want to see us get through and try and get some really big results against these teams to really stamp our name in this competition this year.
Yeah, I kind of agree with everything you said there. It's you look at the Sharks now. The Sharks have got that reputation of they can beat anyone as long as they're in the bottom 9. If they're in the top 8, they've always got that little bit of negativity against them. We don't want that with top 4. Yep. So get a couple of these guys, have no excuses, and I think everything will turn out right. But yeah, it's easier said than done. They're top 4 teams for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same as the boys. If you think about those games last year too, they had a lot of build up into them, and I felt we didn't live up to expectation. I imagine it might be the same this year. Having runs of 3 or 4 wins, and then you're coming up against a good team. You want to make a statement. It's great to beat low teams 3 in a row. If you look at our history, we've always struggled against low teams, even when we were. So that's nice. At least we've progressed in that sense. But now it's taken another step up where we want to beat teams that are good and a built up expectation. Like the Rabbitohs, man, everyone was super hyped for that game. Yeah, the weather was horrible, but we still fell flat. Broncos and Napier was again. This is going to be a statement win. Fell flat again. So I'm just expecting that this year. I'm no doubt they have that as a goal, targeting those games, and I think they'll get it right this year. I believe, starting off with Melbourne, I think that's the one to get. Then it should roll from there.
Yep.
Yeah, and what sort of start you guys would consider a pass mark? Like the start of wins, in terms of wins, how many wins would you guys consider it as a pass mark early on the start of the season? What do you reckon?
So me and Levon spoke about this before on one of our streams, and that if we were going on the 4-game look, I would love to see us 3-1. I could see maybe at work 2-2, that sort of look, but I want us around that 3-1, hopefully 4-0. But it's really tough, obviously, to see very early on how we're going to go there. If you want to go on a 5-game, 6-game average there, I'd like to see us 4-2 at least. Again, I'd hope these aren't unrealistic numbers. I see, I keep bringing it up. The Melbourne Storm game for me is the big one. I think that's the big one that we're all looking at. I think we have a massive opportunity to get over the top of them very early on, kind of like the Doggies did last year. Catch them early off the break because they're still a team that's still trying to figure out positions, figure everything out. That doesn't sound as great because I want us to win it overall when everyone's healthy, everything's ready to go, you know what I mean? But we do have a great opportunity to stamp that, like hit that goal very early on if we do want to beat the Melbourne Storm very early, especially when they're trying to get everything together. So if we're going 4-game, I'd love to see a 3-1. If we're going like 5-6, 4-2, something like that would be awesome to sit really well in the competition, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the way up to Magic Round, the first 10 games. I would want to be 7-3 at worst. Yeah. And that's if we lost to the Storm, the Rabbits, and the Roosters.
Yep.
I feel like all the others are manageable. Those are the dicey games that if they haven't got their heads switched on, things could go wrong. But realistically, after 10 rounds, 7-3, I think would be a pass mark for me with my high expectations this year. But the more the better. But yeah, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, I'm the same boat as you guys. I think I said to Ash, I'd rather go 1-3 and that one be against the Storm. Like I'm really just keyed in on these big games for some reason for me, Mint. But I think if they get it right, I'm with Brad. They should be within like 8-2, 7-3 even at the worst. I mean, you got Knights at home, you've got Titans at home. I think it is on Anzac, which should be a massive day. You got a few Dragons away. We've kind of done them over twice last year. I don't expect that to drop off. Seagulls at home is always tricky, but these aren't like we're looking at them like, these are really tough games. Even the ones like the Storm, we're thinking, hey, we're in for a real chance here. We should. So it's not like we're coming outside like hoping and wishing. It's like this team looks very good. I'd probably say even the Sharks might be a tricky one early because their edge with Roger and Montoya, it looks good, but under the stress of Ramey and Katoa, I just wanted to see more of how that looks against a better halves pairing. And so you could say the first game might be a banana skin, if we're not careful. But I expect that they should do all well in pretty much all those games. So feeling pretty confident with even what Brad suggested, 7-3, 8-2. We should be aiming for that, definitely.
I think the positive thing overall too to look at is, there's all the excuses obviously of how the Warriors could be the team to fall off this year and fall outside the 8. Maybe did they hit the benchmark way too early last year? We had that 1 year of specialness, but we have, as we keep talking about, the hunger to beat these bigger teams because we weren't able to last year. And I feel like that's a hunger that Webby can come into this year and bookmark. Like, these are the games we want this year. We know we can compete with everyone else, but that just builds hunger throughout the squad and gets them up for these sort of games. So that's what we mean by the level, should rise this year. Everyone looks like they're hungry. They want to beat these teams. And if they want to get in that discussion, they're going to have to beat these teams.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, and what are your thoughts on the whole changes to the Anzac Day clash? It's not Melbourne anymore. We've got Melbourne round 2. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on the changes to the old Anzac Day clash? Because it's great that's in New Zealand. It's great that we finally get to host an Anzac Day clash. It's been years. What are your thoughts on the whole changes to the clash?
I think it's good that it's where back in New Zealand, goes back in New Zealand or whatever and all that. But it would have been so nice to see the Melbourne Storm actually do us a solid and be like, all right, we keep the game, keep the schedule, everything like that. Or maybe drop the schedule back so everyone can even watch the game and all that. But we'll come over and make it because we've seen it years and years where as the Melbourne Storm, we bookmarked it. We want to see us get over the top of them in Anzac Day. We got the Titans this year. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited to see that in, the Anzac round and all that. But with teams like the Tigers last year giving away home games for us and for all we did, I don't want to keep harping off all we did in COVID, but you know what I mean? It would have been really nice to see the Melbourne Storm just go well done. Thank you guys. Here, we'll give you a game and we'll go back and forth for even a couple of games the next coming years. We'll go Anzac Day in New Zealand. You know what I mean? It would have been nice to see that.
Yeah. The Storm didn't want to come to the party, so it is what it is, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm stoked to have one back in New Zealand. Last time we had it was against the Titans as well. I got to go to that one. So getting to go to another Anzac Day game will be mean. Doesn't have that history like we had with the Storm, but being honest, that history isn't that great anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
So if it becomes, I know Cam George said it on the Ruin Hammer show. He said that he wants the Anzac game in New Zealand every year, saying there should always be an Anzac Day game in New Zealand because, it just makes sense. So if that means it's always the Titans or it's just a rotation of teams, I think as long as they've got that representation of Anzac Day here, I think they'll get a bumper crowd. Not that I don't think they're going to struggle with that anyway, but just really good to get some of the love since some of those top tier teams don't like meeting us in the middle.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think, man, it's going to be great to have it at home. And in due respect to all the fallen soldiers, it's not just an Aussie. It's called Anzac for a reason, So I think it's good that it's come home. Great for our fans, great for just general public to get out to an Anzac Day parade and game. The only thing for me, the Melbourne Storm was the right opponent for us. I mean, historically, with our history, it makes sense. But I don't think we have that same connection with the Titans. I would have even loved like a Raiders or a Broncos.
Broncos would be nice.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We've got a bit of history there. It ties in with. But apart from that, either it's really the occasion, and I think it's going to be a massive, massive crowd, massive day. So now looking forward to that one. Yep.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the draw covered there. So you guys were pretty happy with the draw overall. So the back end isn't too very difficult at the end of the day. So you guys happy with the draw, general?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think we got some really good runs. Obviously, just before Magic Round, we run in really nicely. Obviously, the Roosters game just before the Panthers game. That's a back-to-back game. That would be really good to see us get over the top some of these two teams here. The run home looks very, very juicy again, which is very good. If we continue the season the way we do and build, it would be really nice to see us get a good run home. The bye in round 27, if we're in the finals, it'll be good to see us rest some of our boys and get over into that first round of finals and look amazing. So, I'm really excited with the draw.
Yeah, same here. I think the draw is very favourable. And that run home and getting that bye in that last round is integral. You don't want – I understand the reasons behind it last year where we rested all the boys in that last game, but it kind of takes the sheen off it in my eyes when you're not watching them play. So getting that option, you can rest everybody and have them ready. Very happy. And a couple of, I don't like saying easy teams, but like in that final run, you've got like the Tigers, the Doggies, and guys like that, which we saw last year, but we didn't really make a statement. We kind of just grinded away. So I want to see if we're ramping into finals at that point to really put our foot down and take some of these lesser teams to task.
Yeah, I think the draw is really good actually, and I know that first buys until round 13, but if you look at it, we've got the depth a bit more now. I feel confident that the depth will cover a decent amount of injuries. I mean, last year we looked pretty scant from pretty much that Storm game through till was a Magic Round and a few. It just felt like we were on death's bed at times. Yeah, and the guys dug in, but there was only so much they could do. Whereas I feel this year you got Blimmin, Leatoa and Pompey hanging in the wing, there to help, and they're good cover. Like Martin's good cover, CHT's good cover. Like you feel like okay, we can go 13 rounds here and be okay. I'm feeling like this is a good draw, good run of games. I think it's going to be. I don't think we need to have excuses, and I don't think we need to. Even as fans, we shouldn't be. Hey guys, we had 13 rounds, because that was kind of the dialogue last year. It's like, hey man, we've done 3 games in 10 days, which was fair, but I don't think we should be thinking like that moving forward.
Yeah.
So on to the squad now. So the 2024 squad. So we've gained a few signings. We've got RTS there, back to the club there. Kirk Capewell, Chanel Harris-Tavita, and the likes. So we have only lost. Only significant loss was Josh Curran. So, what are you guys' thoughts on the generals of the squad? What are your thoughts on that and the depth that we've got at the moment?
I definitely think we improved, especially coming from last year. I really love the inclusion of Capewell from what I saw from him in the preseason. And I had little reservations before when we first signed him. I was like, age and a shoulder injury history really had me a bit worried. But he played amazing. He's got just great work ethic, and I think that really fits well with our squad at the moment too. Especially if we were going to lose Joshy Curran being homesick and that. Bailey Siren, and we got another player that is a very similar elk, but a lot more experienced and been in the big time before. And then we got RTS back, and RTS really opens up so much to our game. We got tackle breakability and in our center position now, especially through the middle. If he takes out a couple of runs through the middle as well, I see it gelling really, really nicely. I'm really, really excited. Obviously, the depth that we have now, just looking at the squad in general, like the top 30, is really, really juicy. And it looks like we are putting our eggs in the basket now of this is the year that we need to start making top fours, get all the way as far as we can, even trying to get to grand finals and win the big thing. So, yeah, really excited, man.
Yeah, the depth I think is at an all-time high this year. I love Curran, but yeah, I'm really psyched that we've replaced him with Capewell. You talked about that experience. In the past 4 years, he's been in 3 grand finals.
Yeah.
A player of that quality to be able to come here already has a relationship with Webby, also has a relationship with Sean. They played in the Sharks together.
Yep.
So having them on that edge together is going to work well. And all the experience he can give the Labans and all that are sitting waiting in the wings is tenfold. And that's all part of that depth. So if there are injuries down the track and you do see a Jacob Laban come into the squad, he's had some guys he's had Capewell, he's had Tohu, all those guys leaning on him, telling him what to do. Makes me really excited. And I haven't put it up yet, but I've been writing my season preview, and I think I said there's a lot of guys that were regulars last year that aren't even guaranteed a spot in the 17. Which is crazy, but that's what depth does. It just creates competition, and if you're not good enough, you don't keep your spot. So hopefully that shows improvements across the park, much like we saw last year, but at another level. So makes me super excited.
Yeah, man, Brad makes a really good point. If you actually look at it, I think we could all agree maybe we trust Laban for a half-hour stint or one half of footy. That's huge. I don't think if you look at last year, I don't think Webby went past maybe 22nd or 23rd man in terms of the total 30. And there was a reason for that, obviously, because of probably a drop-off. Whereas I think those guys have come up and done really well, that we're seeing maybe even a 25, 26-man squad usage this year if we need it. So I think that's a great sign for development. It's a great sign for the Cup having a good year last year and consistency, and so I think we've got a great squad. Agree as well on Capewell. You could see in the game just the detail, the work around the ruck, just work rate. You can tell he's a guy that just chips in, works hard, and the connection with Webby, very professional. You can tell he just fits in as well. And I imagine he's worked with Webby over the years and knows how his system works and where to be at what time. So that's exciting, and it changes actually the whole dynamic of your bench and what you can do. Gives you more options. A guy like Josh Curran probably worked better last year because the new quarter might not play 80 at back row. Yeah. Whereas this year, if you've got a Capewell playing 80, while you got more dynamic opportunities. You can maybe hold another extra middle if you wanted to on the bench. There's heaps of options there. So yeah, it's exciting, man, and can't wait.
It just adds back to the amount of players that have been and touched a grand final or even won a grand final in our squad at the moment. Obviously, Capewell comes in, as Brad said before, out of the last 4 years, 3 grand finals. That's an incredible start, and obviously winning one with the Panthers and that. And then you got obviously Rogers touched it there with the Roosters and that. We had Dylan Walker in the past has touched it before as well. It's RTS, man. Like, this side just grows an arm and a leg with that sort of experience in our squad. Like, we know if we can get to the big dance, we got players in there that have done it in the big time. So they have the experience for that. And that's a big thing comparatively to like the Broncos and a couple other squads this year that have lost a player like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and just going through the comments here. So hello to the viewers in the comments. Jose is saying you. One of the interesting questions is how much game time does Tamari Martin and Chanel Harris-Tavita get this season? What's the estimated thought? So yeah, what do you guys reckon on that one? Because I think Tamari Martin and Chanel Harris-Tavita and the Trolls probably didn't do enough. But what do you guys reckon?
I'd say there would be more of our depth play this year. For my best 17 with Metz and Shawnee being our halves for the year. With Shawnee, obviously, he is getting older, as we know. He had an injury history. Luke Metcalf has had an injury history as well. They're amazing for cover, so really game time is dependent on how those boys go and how they hold up. Whether Shawnee gets a rest during the season at any time, if he does feel like that, I don't think he will. I think all the boys are biting at the bit to get into footy and like keen to play a full proper season. But if it ever came to a point like having Chanel back as well, and Tomato, I think those boys can really fill in for like a 5-game stint and all that, and we're going to be okay. Where Momas last year, it kind of did feel like when SJ went down, Tomato will come in. Chanel kind of adds that little bit extra, spice, especially for fighting for positions in New South Wales Cup for that halves, you know what I mean? So, it really comes down to that to me.
Yeah, I've got them basically injury cover and leading the New South Wales Cup team to a grand final win, because that New South Wales Cup team's going to be stacked. So, yeah, I've got them, if Lukey, touch wood, does another hammy or something like that, they're easy to come in and do a little bit of a stint. But before trials, I had Tamati locked in as my 6 because I was iffy on Luke, and then watching him in last week and in the All Stars compared to Luke in both games, Luke took it for me. So yeah,
I think they'll get as much game time as the starters let them. Again, injury history for Metcalf. There's probability's sake 60% chance he might get a hammy again. We don't know, but they're quality players. I think the disrespect people will have for them is unwarranted at times. I know Chanel's been getting battered for just kicking a ball out on the full.
That's wild.
You know what I mean? And Sean did that twice last year. I think in Christchurch or whatever, and they were battering him as well. So just calm down, people. And these guys are quality, and they'll come. And CHT just needs time. He's been out of the game for a year, so mentally and physically he's getting himself back. Tamani likewise had a major injury, is finding his feet again, and so Cup's a good place for that. Get regularity. It's not like you're sitting on the sidelines waiting for a chance. You're actually playing every week, so I think it's going to be great. And when they come in, I think it'll be they'll do a good job.
Panda, just comment here from the close stuff. He's saying scary thing is that any other club would give their right arms for guys like CHT and Tamari Martin. We consider these guys as depth players, which spot on there, the close stuff. I agree with the comment, really.
100%.
And Jose is just saying great answers. Thanks, gents. So no worries, Jose. So what are you guys' thoughts on the depth of the 4-pack? I think our 4-pack's very strong. And our outside backs, I think we've got the best in regards to our outside backs in depth. And you got Tane coming in there. CNK may miss a few games. Apparently, he's going to miss the first 3 weeks, from what I've heard. Usually in the past, when an injury happens to a key player, we get all worried and stressed. But we've got plenty of depth out there, so we don't have to really worry too much, even though CNK is a big loss. But what are you guys' thoughts here on the depth of the 4-pack and the outside backs, especially?
I think the big thing, we built on that slowly last year into this year. So, like, I feel like, even people that are in our starting 17 have the ability to cover a lot of these positions and bring someone on off the bench. Like Dylan Walker has been a massive buy for us. I keep bringing it up every time. I think he's been incredible for us to be a player that if a center goes down, we could chuck Dylan out there. If the 9 goes down, like, I don't love seeing him at 9, but he can play there. Like at 13, he can play at 13, he play at 6. Like we saw it last year. Like RTS has the ability to play at fullback. We've seen that if Tane goes down as well. Our halves cover is absolutely amazing by the looks of it, especially, when they're bringing up, other teams would give an arm and a leg for have that halves cover. Like our forward depth, I'm not too sure what everyone's thoughts are with their starting front row combination as well. That adds in a whole different thing. Like, does Bunty get the starting spot? Does Bunty not see himself in best 17? Like, Tom Arle looked amazing in the preseason trials as well. And then to add on top of that, we never saw Sifakula. That's obviously coming back with injuries and stuff. Boys like that have got taste of NRL. Going looked amazing when we had to have him there as well. And, like, the depth is amazing, but not just in our New South Wales Cup team. I feel like in our best 17, a lot of these boys that we can bring on can cover multiple positions. Murata can cover on the centre. Like, I could go on for days. Like, I feel like our squad is so versatile, and that's what makes me so impressed to see that on paper.
Yeah, the depth is, it's crazy all over the place. But yeah, in the pack, I still would like, I'm very biased, I'd still like another big prop. Because I'm not, my confidence has waned a little bit on Bunty, but I think with how everything's gone with K-pop coming in, I think Murata is that one that I've been looking for. I think that's what they're probably going to be using him as, off the bench as a middle forward, which could answer my prayers anyway. So, but yeah, like you just said, you can throw Nakora anywhere. Jazz, you can kind of throw wherever you want as well. He might not be the best, but always gives 100%. D-Walks as well. You got Roger as a third string fullback in case something really bad happens, which is a hell of an option to have. And then, in the centers, I feel like the entire time I've been writing and talking about the Warriors, centers always been our issue because it was like, we don't have anyone. Yeah. And now you're like, you're questioning who's actually going to be in there because you've got so many options. So, I think it feels like in putting all your chips in, just like everything's kind of setting up. So just throw it all in and go as far as we can.
Yeah,
man. Bang on, boys, and I think the big thing with the forward pack is I'll be interested to see the first couple of weeks and see how the rotations go. I mean, the Dolphins game, there was a drop off when Egan, Clough stuff saying here, when Egan went off. Service from Lussick isn't the same. Obviously, we understand that. Even Jazz and certain combinations with Jazz in the middle of the ruck isn't the best. So we're not saying our pack is invincible. We're just saying I want to see what Webster comes up with in terms of what his rotations are, how he kind of maintains momentum through a game. And penalties, there's a lot of penalties, but at the same time, it's because of the drop-off or errors or momentum. But that was a trial. But I think it needs a good 4 or 5 weeks to see how he views it. But I'm confident in the guys to get the job done. I feel, but I just want to see it how he gets those rotations going, because I don't think there was really what we saw in the preseason exactly how he would want it. As for outside backs, awesome. I'm excited to see a guy like Setu 2 get a shot, and I haven't even said it. Big Cost doesn't even, he hasn't been spoken of. Dimitri Sifakula, I mean, Zion Mai, we haven't even talked about these guys because they've been out of social media pictures. I rarely see them on the field at the moment. But these are guys that had a chance, and will be there. Talpa Graham looked good in some of his work, and Tuopiki is a big one. We got to give Tane a lot of credit to be able to hold that spot while CNK's out. And I think, reaffirm with what Roger and Webby said that Tane is the guy, even though I think he had a little cork, and then they put in Roger. They were going to put Roger in for the last 20, but they put him on at half. So, but I think Tane is a great player, gives his best, works hard at the back there, gives a different dimension too. You look at some of the work he does with Egan and Metcalf, the speed around the ruck. So it's nice to have a different look when different guys come in and they bring a different element. But for me, the forward pack is just going to be, I want to see the rotations. I want to see the style of how they're going to approach it. And I think that will take at least a good 4 to 5 weeks to get a feel for how Webby's doing it. Because you might even think, Ball Brothers was awesome last year, but that may not be working. So you got to adapt and change, you know what I mean? Because teams might pick up on that and say, oh, well, you bring those two on, we're going to counter that with this. So it'd be interested to see how he sets up.
Yeah, well said there. Just going through some of the comments. So I saw a comment here from the Clough stuff here. So just 4-pack is strong with young bustling guys coming through. Still worried about the hooking role once Egan goes down. There's a massive drop down to Lussick. So yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Because obviously Lussick's the second choice hooker there. But what's your thoughts on the depth of the hookers? Because got Wade Egan there, but Wade last year had a few knocks. He had a few knocks, and what's your thoughts there?
I think first, this question is put up mainly because of how good Wado's developed into such a good 9 at the moment. It's tough to really have a. Sorry, guys. It's tough to really have a backup 9 that's at that level, if that makes sense. So no matter what, I can even see like other teams around the competition. I don't see any other 9 that's going to come in and fill in that time to do what Egan does and does it as a high click. So this is the thing is it's really up to Webby what he really wants to do, whether he wants to carry Luss that 14 role and really give a bit more of a spell, because Luss definitely has a better pass out of ruck than Dylan Walker, Jazzy Tabunga, like those sort of boys. But I don't think it's enough to really be like, all right, we'll carry him. And then there's at times, like me and Levon have been speaking, like Webby had moments where he ran a 3-man bench last year when he had Luss on the bench. He didn't even play him. And so there's moments where he could maybe thinking that maybe his output out of hooker is not enough to carry him on the bench. I could spell Wado for 20 minutes and just put Dylan in there. That's not to the level of Lussick's ball playing in that, but it's enough to give rest to Wado and let Wado get through. But if Wado was to go down for a period there, I'm more comfortable enough to have Lussick to run in that 9. It's just we're going to have a very different look. It's not going to be the same as having Wade Egan, because Wade Egan's deceptiveness out of ruck is just second to none at the moment. Comparatively, Harry Grant's and all that. He's not. I wouldn't put him as like a top 3 hooker in the competition right now, but he's around that top 5 sort of mark. If everything goes well. And my thoughts have changed so much on Wade Egan in such a crazy amount of time. Like, when we first had him, I'm like, the amount of times I've seen him on 5th tackle sets and just running out of like dummy half to scoot over for a try, and that why? But he's grown to such a great player at the moment to have around the club. So I think that's more of a question that gives value to Egan than really detracts from like people like Lussick and stuff in our squad, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think the key thing is Lussick needs time. As you just said, when Wado first popped up, no one wanted him. They're like, no, he's mud. He can't pass. He does the stupid no-look pass. He's rubbish. Get Brandon Smith. Get any other hooker but him. And now no one wants to get rid of him. They're like, people are talking him up, saying he could play New South Wales. And all it has, he hasn't really changed. He's developed his game and got more experience, but he's had runs on the board. And Lussick hasn't really got to do that. He has kind of chucked them in. As you said, a lot of last year, he sat on the bench watching the game like he was a fan. So you got to give him time. And yeah, I still don't have him in my 17 just because Webster doesn't generally use him if he's on the bench. So I've taken him off. But if he wants Wade to survive the season unscathed, he might want to give him some rest. And that potentially could be a spot. But yeah, like you said, you could use Walker for 10, 20 minutes if you had to. But yeah, I think Lusick will get there. I think he's a hell of a talent. He just needs some experience.
Yeah, Brad's got a really good point there. I was actually thinking it would be good to upgrade the hooker role, but now that Brad's kind of talking about it, I was like, actually, he's probably a year or two away from really improving his ruck manipulation. I talk a lot about Egan and that type of thing. He's got the attributes for it. I think you look at his defensive work, he's a much stronger up top. He can hold his own in the tackle, which is, I think, great. Is a great option to have. Imagine like kind of a scenario being you're up by 20 and you pull Egan off around 60th minute. You got Lusick there. You can just take the battering that you need. But in the other sense, when you're down by 20, Egan's shot, he's not going to give you that impact. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the difference where we've talked about it, is that he's a great guy for certain situations, particularly starting. I think he's a good starting hooker. But in terms of if you need something off the bench to get the team going, he's not quite that. So that's where I've kind of thought if you could get the balance where I liked what the Broncos did last year, where they have Kevy's son, and then they had that guy Smoothie. I think he was he had nice kind of work, and I think if you're looking at that type of a setup, Paulie Roach might be the guy for like continuing the momentum, that type of thing. But at the moment, I'm more than happy with what Lusick's doing. I was only thinking that if you wanted to amplify offense even more, that type of a rotation would take it up to a next level for me. I think there's just a drop off. But with Brad, I agree. Give him a year or two, especially under Egan, just watching closely, what he does. No doubt he is. But at the same time, I'm happy with him playing within his skill set. I think he looks like a guy who's very confident with what he knows he can do. Yeah. But over time, you want this guy to pick up. And hey, if he wants to hang around and take over Wado, 2028 or whatever, good on him. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it really, if we reshape our bench in moments, like if you have Luss there, the only argument I have against Luss, running Lussick at 14 would be we do lose having someone that could fill in multiple other positions, if that makes sense. We got someone that's going to sit there and play hooker to where like Dylan Walker can play hooker for 20, but also if any injuries go down, he can cover, anyone else. Paulie Roach definitely is a player that could catch our eye because he could play 7, he could play 9. He's another player like that, but I think he still needs a little bit of time in that. That's why I still always sway back to having just Dylan Walker at 14, Jazzy and all those boys around there, because it's more versatility. And I don't think that, when we put Luss in there for 20 minutes, we're going to see like any major difference in a way comparatively to if everything shit goes down like the Melbourne Storm game to where we need to cover positions left, right and center. Our versatility with Walker, Jazzy, Murata looks so much more incredible than if we take one of those boys out and have Lusick there, if that makes sense. That's the only reason why I'd have against Lusick and just have him in cup or 18th man for as much as he can to develop. But he's incredible. Like, as I said, if Egan goes down for a decent period, I'm confident to have Luss there for a decent period because I feel like, as Levon kind of touched on, he is more of like I would say like a long minute hooker comparatively to a short minute explosive hooker. So he would do a lot of good work in longer minutes comparatively to 20-minute stints. So that's just our opinions on it, really.
Yep. Yeah, well said there. Yeah. So what just going back on the question here for you, Wise Up. Question here from Hosea. He's asking here, are you and Josh Gage going to be doing a regular weekly thing? Great pairing, complement each other. So yes, question for you.
Yeah. Just quickly, yeah, we are. Me and Josh got something working on as well, and it'll be every Monday, and then same with me and Ash. We're doing every Tuesday or 8 p.m. NZ time, and also post match. We do post match show, me and Ash, as well. So yeah, shameless plug. Yep. Jump on. Sorry to take your time up, but yeah, thank you, Jose. Thank you for responding to that message. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw you on a super chat there. Did you? Should we hit that?
Yeah, I'll just get it up actually.
Love that.
From York,
Yeah.
$2.99. He says, up the wires,
Awesome,
Sean
man.
Johnson, Dally M should have won it last year. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, don't get us started, Bala. No.
Thanks for
Actually,
started on
you know,
that topic.
shout out, York, man. Super chat. Hey, supporting the
Thank you, my
Fanatics.
bro. Yeah.
We appreciate it. Put that back up, Fanatics. Let's just quickly, because he's paid for his question. Let's
Here we go.
let's
Yep.
support. Otherwise, SD should have won it. Joe, I think so.
Yeah.
And me and Ash have gone through some stats last year.
Mm.
He had nearly 30 try assists.
Yep.
X amount of kicking numbers. We've talked about tries. You know, I think if you cover a breadth of stats, I think Sean was well and above able to be Dally M. Now, when I've learnt about how they blimmin' evaluate the systems, blimmin' freaking faulty as if, you know what I mean? Needs to revamp, because for Ponga to miss that amount of games and then just, have that run, is great. But I definitely think Sean got robbed of that one. That's a big robbery for me. Yeah,
it would be nice if they did it's tough because it would be nice for them maybe to look at a full season as a whole and then put a vote down of who was the best for the season. And it did feel like to me when I first saw it, and I don't have numbers in front of me to say this is what's happened, but it felt like that maybe SJ was the story for the whole season, to where it became at the end of the season, people might have thought that he locked it up very early on or something. So when KP went on his run, he was getting a lot of points in majority of those games on the run home. And then with SJ, there was a couple of games at the end of the season that he didn't end up getting points in, that he had major plays in, that it felt like that they were sharing it around. So AFB had a couple of points that took off him and stuff like that. The one that it is one thing I'll give credit to the NRL in any sort of way. I didn't really want to do that, but it's I don't know any other system that's going to help, because I feel like if we did just do a broad vote, not to be this as a Warriors fan, but I don't know how that would go either. I feel like there's a lot of bias into certain things no matter what. I don't know how we're going to take bias out of it and just give it to a stats thing or anything like that, because even stats at the moment, they can lie as well. I don't know. It's really tough thing to really focus out. But to me, in my heart, he won the Dally M last year, but just is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm the same. There was the one where they had to say it, where he got 0 points. That round, that was a round that he actually won the game for the Warriors.
Yeah,
he got no points at all, which I found strange. But I think there was a comment in there that the RLPA voted him the Player of the Year, which is that's the award voted by the players for the players, where the Dally M's are the media one. So it's important. You want to get a Dally M, I guess, but I think Sean probably took pride out of the fact that he won the one from the boys. So the guys he was playing against picked him as the player. That's a lot of months after the event for me to be able to think about it more rationally, because you know, live on how late it was to stay up as a Kiwi to watch it, because you thought he was going to get in there, and it's I've got work in 4 or 5 hours. I've got to see him win it, and then he doesn't win it, and you're
it just adds to it, bro.
Just felt like a big stitch up, but
Anyways, moving on from that, because I'd talk about it, I'd get a bit fuming. It brings back just frustration. But anyway, so what about the players you guys are looking out for this year for the team in general? Which player would you which player would you be looking out for, as well as in terms of a young player and a senior player to watch, a player in general?
I'm the obvious answer is RTS and all that, but for me, I want to see Luke Metcalf grow. I want to see him continue to grow. I feel like with having Rog and all these other boys into the squad, and I can see so many more opportunities for him to run support plays, score tries like that. But I want to see him learn how to use an edge back rower properly and be that 6 and really tune in where he needs to and all that sort of stuff. Because I keep saying he impressed me in that trial when he played 7, and I it made me change my thoughts of like maybe he can develop into a really good playmaker and all that. But when I saw him last year, I had questions of whether he could even be a 6. I thought he was more of a fullback trying to be a 6. And you see that a lot, but he's definitely someone I'm watching for. Looks like he's put on a little bit of size as well, and he's kept around the same amount of speed from all reports. So really, really excited for his season. And for anyone else, like a young boy coming up, like Ali Leata is the one that everyone's name. Like, yeah, he looks great. So I don't know if he'll get a shot. Maybe if Berry goes down or something like that, we may see a little bit more of him. Depending on Berry's injury that he carried, apparently that seems to be all good. But I'm keen to see a lot more of that kid. I feel like he can develop into something really special too.
Yeah, I was basically the same pick, so I'll change up. RTS we don't need to talk about. He's going to do what he's going to do. I'm going to go with Adam. Bias as a prop, but it's his final year. We always have that reputation of a player that signed a deal elsewhere. They kind of switch off a little bit. They've all been saying the right things, that's not going to happen. He's focused on, ending his time with the Warriors on a high. So I'll be watching him. He was in the conversation last year with Payne Haas and all that as one of the top tier props. I want to see him keep doing that. And the youngins, Ali, I think the moment Ali will get his shot, and I feel like if he gets a shot, I don't think he'll give his jersey up. I think he's already ready for first grade in my eyes. I thought that after watching him against the Raiders last year.
Yeah, he was great.
I know someone was in there talking about they want to Adam Pompey chat. I have Adam Pompey as my 4th string center right now. I think he's behind Roger, Rocco, and Ali. Personally, I do have a bit of a bias. I'm not always his biggest fan, but he did win me over a bit last year. I thought he did some fine work. But yeah, I think Ali and Zion. I think Zion's going to be huge when he gets his shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll support all the boys pretty much. I try to think of another name now, but
take Roger, bro. Go with Roger.
Yeah. Sheesh. I think the interesting one will be seeing what Tom Ali can do for Zion Mayu. That kind of spot where we're going to be hit by injuries and you want a guy come on the bench that can make an impact. I think that's a real important one. Yeah. The other is like wing cover and how you approach that. Setu 2 looks pretty good for me. He's got that Sione Katoa, but a little bit smaller, but he's got that footwork about him. I like his running style. That intercept was nice. Like he's confident, he's one that I'm, Big Cost is another one. I just can't wait to see him get back. Montoya will be, he'll be holding onto that spot for dear life because those guys are just waiting in the wings, literally, to get on the field, So, but I really feel like there's some guys that I want to see them get a run, like a Dimitri Sifikula if he can get healthy. Zion Mayu, again, unfortunately, we didn't get to see a full package of him, but these are guys like I want to see them get a run around the boys sometime this year. And, I just feel as though, like, for example, for me, Tane, when he came in, I think Tane won nearly every game that he was involved in coming onto the field, which is a great sign, especially in the fullback role where you are making important decisions. I'd love to see the same for the likes of Sifikula, Mayu, Setu 2, come in and do a good job and be part of a winning team. I think that's going to, that's what I'd love to see. And that's the next level of saying, hey, our depth is really starting to step up now. Laban, again, another one I'd love to see get a good run. Laban, I think he's got a nice line. Love to see him work with Sean or Metcalf. I think he's not an 80-minute guy for me right now, but definitely a 40, 50. And it was good to see his comments too, that he feels he's happy to learn off these guys and wants to be that next one off the cab, So, yeah.
Yeah, if you go on New South Wales Cup too, like players like Tanner Smith, I'm really excited for him, especially like a very sturdy, long minute forward that looks like he could do like be a future captain if everything goes well, if he keeps developing. He's a big one for me. Also, Leka Hatlasima has so much potential. So these guys are New South Wales Cup boys. I just want to see them continue to develop because I feel like in the next coming years, you'll definitely see their names. I just don't think you'll see them this year unless we get a really horrid injury run or something like that. But those are the boys I want to see grow in Cup. And if we're going like well down to SG ball, I really like the look of Jesse Sorich. Is our 6 in SG ball. I really like to see, you know, him to fight it out with all these other boys like Hanson that looked amazing and looked good in the trial as well. So yeah, those are the names we want to see in Cup really grow their potential and for our junior development.
Sorry, another one there's Kalani going. Solid player. Want to see him get a run to cover at lock, or I think he'll do a good job. I thought he did a decent job against the Dolphins last year. Just the team was all shot all over the place. Wasn't a great representative, you know. Yeah. But and mixing it with Adam and the rest of them, I think he'll hold his own if he got a shot. And looks consistent still. Everyone looks blooming in good fitness.
We'll just name the whole team.
Bloody, rugby, yeah, the whole team looks bloody rugby league fit. You know, remember back in the years, guys would be a little bit overweight and been on the KFC for a little bit too long, you know, holding a lot of water. But now they all look sharp, you know. So I'm excited.
Yep, yeah. Just a comment here from AMF. Says, I'm not ready for this to be Sean's last season. Do you reckon this will be Sean's last season, or do you reckon, you know, he'll go around for another year? What do you guys reckon?
There was news that came out that Shawnee reckons that he could go for a couple more. For me, it's just as long as like Shawnee's body holds up and continues to stay in this form. Obviously, you know, I love Shawnee. He's my favorite player. So like, you know, it'd be great to see him for a couple more years, but also if you're going to put my Warriors hat on as a club, I don't want to see us like hold on for him for too long to where he becomes a burden on us and our legacy over him doesn't, you know, look clouded. I want him to go out happy on top, everything to go well. So whether that's next year, whether that's the end of this year with a chip, who knows? But, you know, I think he can go on for a couple, one or two more years, I reckon.
Yeah, I think he'll play if his form stays how it is, which I feel it will. The only reason he'll retire at the end of the year is if the Warriors go all the way.
Yeah,
but if they win the GF, he'll retire. I don't think he'll. You know, what better way to go out than being the first, you know, the halfback of the first Warriors team to win the thing? Why go on another year? If they're close and he's been playing well, he won't want to go out with another what if. So, but yeah, I agree with what you said there, Ash. You never want to see, like, think of boxing terms. You don't want to see that, you know, great fighter out there being a shell of himself and just doing it because it's all he does. So, but I think Guy Webby, he's a straight up honest guy. I think if he sees that, you know, he's on his last legs, he will be the guy that will have an honest conversation with him and say, like, I think you got to do what you got to do and hang it up. But yeah, he just seems so stoked at the moment, and he's got that fire in the belly. So yeah, I don't see him wanting to give that up.
Yeah, it's not really about Sean as much as it is about Metcalf or whoever's the next half. Like, I think Sean, me and Ash talked about. I think his numbers will drop a little bit, not because of his performance, but you know, I expect Metcalf to. I think Metcalf did at about 3 try assists last year out of 13 games. I expect that to be at about 10, or more. You know, so I think what we've found here with Webby's system is Sean has a sweet spot. He's working off good ball. Now, this isn't the Sean of 2012, 13, 14, where he had to create off the top of his head because the system wasn't supporting him. And, you know, I even talked about it before the start of last season, like Sean needs a foil to help him out. But in reality, Webby created a lot of systems to support him. And I think they've done a good job. And now it's just mentally and the body holding up. Like I was watching the interview about him being asked that question, and he kind of got a little bit frustrated.
He did.
And I think that for him means Sean is a person that doesn't love people writing him off. You can tell he takes that to heart.
Yeah.
If you write him off, he'll prove you wrong. And, people are kind of saying, trying to tap him on the shoulder, say retire, but he's not ready for that. So I'm happy with it as long as Metcalf continues to develop. We've talked about Metcalf as well, saying, look, this is his last contracted year. I believe that you say to him, hey, you can take the reins over 2026. Sean, the job's yours pretty much. And I would, if the club feels confident about that, I'd get that done pretty early, like within the next 6 or 7 weeks. Because if he has a good run there, Dragons, Tigers, everyone's in the lower. I mean, Gus Gould will probably find some money from.
They'll want him, yeah.
You know what I mean? So within these he's got a big window here to prove that he can hang in there physically. But if I'm the club, I'm starting to work a contract that tries to set him up as the next guy. But yeah, like there's a few saying, let's hope he doesn't get homesick. A lot of the Aussie guys, he's a young Aussie guy too. A lot of our guys like Walker and the older guys, settled family, life's a bit more simple. This one, he's a young and up. He probably wants to. I think he's really thinking about this next 5 years. Where does he want to be based?
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think homesickness is cured by winning. It might sound a bit harsh, but when you're winning, you're feeling good. I think even Sean said it, in the tough times being stuck in Australia, that's where it really hurt. So if you're losing every week in Auckland, you're going to want to go back to Aussie. But I wasn't confident that they would be able to keep him unless he was starting. Like if he was stuck in reserve grade and then you had another team like over in Aussie saying, come here, you'll be starting for us. That's where you lose him. If he's told Sean's probably going to go another year, you're going to go partner up with him. Why would you leave?
Exactly. Give a dog a bone sort of thing. Like, he's doing well enough to keep that role and all that like that, but just keep him just incentivized. Like you are the next man up. Like we want you there because teams like the Dragons, like, they wanted Ronnie off us. Everything happened the way that happened. They're still looking for a 6. Like, I don't think Flano is going to be their full-time 6. They could easily look at Metcalf this season and go, we will chuck him a ton of money. So just give a dog a bone, let him keep working on his game, but also tell him, like, this is your club if you want it to be. And by the looks of all the videos out there with all these, like, he's loving his fashion and all that sort of stuff. Like, I'm loving the look of him being a warrior because I look at the club at the moment, I'm just like, we've got that. Like, we've got, like, the backing now. We've looked like we are becoming very popular to be, a Warriors fan. Like, it's starting to turn everything around now. So maybe he would really love to be that, like, the guy at the helm of this new team that's coming up with a whole of a country and behind you. So, yeah.
Yeah. And just I saw a comment early in the live chat, which I didn't address, around Bunty Afol. What are you guys' thoughts there? Because I know he was one of the leading defensive players last year. Well, what are your thoughts there on Bunty going into this year? Is there a bit of, maybe a bit more pressure on him this year, or how do you feel on him?
Yeah, we've spoken about this a little bit, me and Levon and that, where I've changed my mind on Bunty a couple of times through this preseason. I thought he looked incredible in the trials for, a player that before this I was starting to look at, like, I think Barnett should have been starting before the preseason, but now I can see a spot for Arlair to start the game and Barnett to come through. Not to say that Arlair was was going to start the game and play 40, 50, all that. It was more of like to get out of that first 20, and then when Barnett comes on, just a tone setter, especially if Murata and Jazzy and all these boys come off the bench. I could see a lot of that working really well in NRL these days. So I could see him starting there and withstanding that first 20 and then bringing Mitch and all that on. If I don't see a spot like that for him, I don't see a spot in the starting 17, in my opinion. I don't see him coming off the bench and being a momentum forward. I'd see like someone like Ale or something like that, maybe grabbing the bench role there if he doesn't start. But I could see him possibly starting and Barnett coming off the bench, playing longer minutes with Barnett and him playing only 20 to whatever we need to just cover around what we need to do.
Yeah, I love Bunty, but I don't have a spot for him. I'm starting with Barney, and I think Tom gives you more off the bench than Bunty. I was I was real confused with him. Not his fault, but last year I didn't really understand what Webster was doing with him, because he'd kind of have him when he was starting. He'd be out there, do a good set, and you'd never see him again. And then when he was coming off the bench, he'd get 10 minutes at the end of the game. It didn't really understand what was going on there, but he's defensively sound, which is a good thing to have in the starts of games if you're getting attacked left, right, and center. But he needs to work on the other side of things with the ball in hand too. I think his footwork needs a bit of work. It's hard when you're comparing him with AFB. But I think he's another one where he's a good option to have if someone goes down at the moment, which it's what no player wants. Every player wants to be in that 17. But yeah, if Barney goes down, if Adam goes down, Bunty has enough experience to go in there and do a job. So that's all I've got in there for really is injury cover.
Yeah, he's probably in the kind of sitting where Pompey is sitting right now, Good cover. But, and the tricky thing, and to what Brad is saying, we didn't see him much in that role as a starting prop. You're doing a lot of first tackle hit-ups, right? First and second. Yeah. Now, if you're not bending that line like Adam can off a fresh defensive line off the kickoff, you got to be pretty much nullified. And then if you like Brad's saying, if you don't have the footwork to come on in about the 30th minute and start working that ruck, while Ali's got that covered. I've got Morata now sitting there with footwork who can do that. So Bunty, unless it's really Webster's keying in on this, okay, this is what I want. I want a guy that doesn't do anything with the ball, but that tackles his heart out, cleaning around the ruck for 20 minutes. Then that's the only reason we can accept it, is the coaches believes in that philosophy. Now I'm with Brad that I think it will be Barnett. But again, a lot of these guys have been part of a successful winning team in their specific roles. I think what the good thing Webster has a bit more now is that with Catewell, he's actually got options now. He can option his starting front row, how he sets up his bench. So let's not say that Bunty's out of the picture. I just think he'll be naturally he'll probably stick with Barnett and then go with a bench of Jazz, Walker, Morata, and whoever that 17th man, depending on what they want, Egan cover, or they want to use CHT or someone like that to cover a bit more in the halves. But yeah, I think it's kind of he's out of the picture at the moment. Yeah. But he's not a bad player. And give credit to our guys, a lot of them have cut out the errors in their game. I mean, we know. Apart from Jazz's 2 drops, that's kind of very rare. Yeah. The Warriors, for its history, a knock-on was always around the next kickoff. I got them in flashbacks when Ali dropped the ball off. Who was it? Canberra? One of the games when he dropped it off the kickoff. I was like, what? I'm back in blooming, the rest of history here. But for the majority, it's cleaned up. So the guys that are coming in, they're serviceable. They do a good job. They stay pretty clean and tidy, which is great.
And you're 100% right too. We have cleaned up a lot in that area. I saw a stat. I think that first preseason trial against the Tigers, we had the best completion rate compared to every other team in the trials and that. I don't know if that dipped for the second one either. I didn't get a check up on that one, but I think we held a decent completion rate in that game as well. Obviously, Jazzy, a couple of balls there and all that didn't really help, but it's a lot better than what we've seen in the past, where we were flary footy back in the day. We had Lal Titi and all those boys just throwing the ball everywhere and just free flowing, Fletty Mateo type players, you know what I mean? But now we've got some really good sturdy edge back rollers that will tuck the ball under and really hold on to the ball as much as they can. So yeah, I agree with that point too.
Looking at it, we ended that game against the Dolphins with 78% completion.
Okay, so we might have dipped out a little bit, but
we dipped out a little
85, I think, at the Tigers game. It was pretty good for a trial game, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we talked about discipline at the end of the game. I think we gave a few penalties away. So, yeah, obviously, He wants the best, perfect. He wants the team to be at their best, and it's got a few discipline at the end of the game. So getting on to the your predicted teams now. So I did this one with Hold the Ball the other night. I'm going to ask your best 1 to 17 team. So this is without any injuries or suspensions. So Ash, why don't you take it away? Your best Warriors 1 to 17, no injuries and suspensions. What do you reckon?
Yep. All right, sweet. So number 1 will be Chance, of course. Got to have Chancey there. My wingers would be Monty and Dallin. I think that's the premier at the moment. My obviously left side center would be Rog now, and Barry would be my right side center. My halves would be Metz and Johnson. I think that for me, that's what I've been riding with the whole way along. Ads. So this one was tough for me because I bounced so many different ways throughout the preseason. But I had a chat with that Anton, but I get an Anton on the stream or whatever, man, with Bunty and I'll go Adden and Wade Egan and Afoa to start the game, as I said before, and then bring a Barnett for a longer stint off the bench with a bit of tiring forwards and stuff with the footwork that he has. I'm not against starting with Barnett either because I love Barnett to death. But at the moment, I'll just go with that. My edge back rollers would be Jacko forward and Kurt Catewell. And in my 13 would be Tohu Harris. And on the bench, for me personally, I would still go Dylan Walker. I'd go Jazzy Tavanga, Murata Nikore, and Mitch Barnett, which would be more so my starting prop, but my coming off the bench, playing the longer minutes sort of look. So I have to keep making sure that I was like, if Bunty's there, he's to really just be a defensive boy in that middle to really, tire out the forwards and that. And then when Barnett comes on, he plays probably about a 50, 60-minute stint, however we want to do our rotation there. But Bunty would only play probably about 30 because I only see Tom Ale probably playing about 20, 30 if he does come on for a very similar look of what we're going to look with Murata Nikore as well. So that's my sort of look at the moment. But, yeah, I'm happy either way if we have Barnett starting. It is what it is.
Yeah, for mine, we're pretty similar, except Anton didn't brainwash me with the Bunty stuff. So I got Chans out back, Dallin and Marcelo on the wings, Rocco and Roger in the middle, in the centres, Luke and Sean in the halves, Adam, Wade, and Barnett up front, forward Capewell, second row, Tohu as my lock, and then I went with a bench of Walker, Tavanga, Murata and Tom.
Yeah.
I'll probably go pretty much with Brad's squad there. Looks
the right option.
Yeah, the right option.
Yeah,
Anton on the screen right now. No. I wish you never brainwashed me about LeBron. You brainwashed me, brother.
I'll ask you this question, Ash.
Yep.
Would Bunty have scored off that try that pass from Egan?
No, man. No way. No. No, but I can see the value in having Bunty, and I do understand where Anton is definitely coming through there. As I said, I also understand. I feel like our team. We spoke about depth before. We can play with a certain team that can run out for certain opposition. So you got opposition that start really fast, or you got opposition like the Panthers that gradually just drown you out of a game. So you could really mix up your matching your starting lineups for certain teams. I think we got a very special team in that sort of way this year. So. Again, I'm not against with what you guys are saying. I completely agree if you want to go that way because I completely understand. But I do understand the look of having Bunty to start the game.
Yeah, it's a setup thing, right?
Yeah,
and that's what I think. But I think that just the general for me is pretty much what Brad is saying. Jose's saying Jazz on your bench. I'm still sticking with Jazz. Now it changes maybe, if you again, this goes back to what the opposition is. Maybe you look at a different type bench, where you go Walker, Ale, Murata, and a Lasik or CHT. But in general, I'm happy with Jazz. I know people bagging him for those 2 drops. I was saying it's probably because of night feeds. He's just had a baby. And he's probably been up at 2 and 4, 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. feeds. So, but I think he looks pretty good. I think just time back in the squad, he'll be all right. But I would love the pack that what Brad's saying, like that bench for me. If that's kind of keying on maybe Egan playing 80, or if I need Jazz to play 10, 15, that's really what I want. But I love the size there. Ale with Marata and Jazz and Walker. I think that's pretty much a really strong bench for me.
It gives you that flexibility that Ash was talking about as well, though. With Walker, Tavanga, and Marata, they can fill several spots if needed. Tom's really the only one there that doesn't, but you don't want, we're not the Bulldogs, you don't want utilities in all the spots. But yeah, and that message about CHT, I always kind of had him needing a year in reserve grade after a year off, but I could see him as a guy that might replace Jazz if you were getting rid of Jazz potentially. I saw him more as a lock middle when he was last there. I know everyone wants him to be a half, but the Jazz stuff, everyone's death riding Jazz after 2 drops, same as what you said about Chanel. He kicked the ball out once on the full when he needs to be in another club or something.
Yep.
Two drops doesn't change my opinion on Jazz. He gives 100%. It doesn't always go right, but he's going to make up for the mistakes he makes. 100%. So it's more his attitude and intensity is why he's in there for me.
Yeah, I think it's a sport fan thing, eh? Like you see it across all different sports. Like I don't want to just bash like the Warriors fan base either, but I think it's just with all fan bases when they see a player not have a good game and then they throw everything out of the water. They go, nah, no more. Like it's a worrying thing. I hope everyone can just sit back and relax. We had good moments with Jazzy last year. We did touch on the Ball Brothers sort of thing a little bit earlier on, whether we could do exactly the same thing as we did, because that looked so amazing when it was happening really well last year. Just the footwork through the ruck and all that just was on a different level. So I want to see it. I want to see Jazzy get through some minutes first and see if he can come back from that. We all love Jazzy. That's the thing. We all love Jazzy, but you just got to give him time. 2 games off this, or not even that, like just 1 game of the trial where he dropped 2 balls. I've seen a lot of this. Like, he played hooker mainly for that Moldy game. And like, I don't know, like, yeah, give him a run.
Yeah. Well said there. Yeah. So just one more thing I'm going to cover on before we go to our predictions. Ian and Sam, very good show. It's been a great show so far. So thanks again. Thanks to the viewers for contributing in the comments. Thanks for liking the live. Make sure you like the live stream as well. And don't forget to subscribe if you're a new viewer to the channel as well. Make sure you subscribe. But getting into the game plan for this year, what are you guys' expectations for the way we play in attack and defence? What are your expectations? You want to see the way we played last year, or do you would like to see a bit more changes to the way we played, or how would you guys like to see us play, like in general?
I see a somewhat similar way, but maybe a lot more balanced attack. Like having Rog on that left side would balance it out. Just want to see Mets obviously develop a little bit more, and maybe we'll see Shawnee really use like both sides of the ruck. Defensively, I think we hopefully grow from last year. I think that's the biggest thing. I think Webby will always be a coach that will try and rather us to have like a decent completion rate, play some really good footy because it really suited our style last year. But now we have a more balanced attack. So I do expect a lot more ball to go left for Rog. Obviously, we saw that in the trials, the way we looked. Also, I just love I keep dreaming about the opportunities in the middle of the ruck for this year, especially if Wado keeps up his form. Swaying markers go one way, go the other, and then having like someone like Chance getting on the other side, and then having Rog in support, and you having Mets in support as well. I can see that going absolutely incredible. So we have the ability to attack from multiple places on the field, but I also think that we will start to be a team that dictates field position first, sort of very similar to the Panthers, but with our own little flavor.
Yeah, it's more a question for Ash and Levon because I'm the front rower here. We don't do game plans. But yeah, I think what you said with attack, it's having Roger on that left's going to help because the Warriors weren't found out as such last year, but you kind of knew it was always going to go right because when it went right, they got points. So why not? But knowing that you've got Dallin and Sean on that right. You're going, that's dangerous, but knowing you've got Roger on that left, going, what he can do anything. It's going to make the defense a bit more or like standoffish a bit.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah. But the main thing for me is defense. Second phase. We saw it against the Bronx.
Loads. Yeah.
They ripped us to shreds. That is the big thing. If they can learn to shut down those opportunities for second phase, I think it's going to really help them get a stranglehold against those bigger teams, because Penny Panthers love doing a bit of an offload too when you allow them. So, it's something that it's a hard thing to stop, but if you can get in there man on man and like wrap them up and stop them getting an arm free, I think it's going to go a long way into helping them win those games. So that's my biggest thing I want to see, is the more defensive side of things.
Yeah, agree with the boys and what they've said. I mean, I think if I touch on that Brisbane game, you're exactly right. We couldn't wrap anything up. And actually we didn't have any X factor to counter it. Now, I look at the work that Roger's done and I'm thinking, mate, that's going to be nice coming out of yardage. We need something to break open. I trust in Roger to do something, which I think is going to be, we're talking about coming to the summit again. You're climbing the hill and you're about to get to that peak and you're meeting the Broncos or Penny Panthers.
Yep.
That's the difference between a Pompey and an RTS. You know what I mean? To take you to that next level. Yep. That's why we signed them. So I'm excited about the offense. Freaking if I can, after 26 rounds or whatever, and if you can see the offense really gel, man, that's going to be exciting going to a playoff run. You're going to be definitely excited. But the key is the defensive holding that blimmin'. That was disgusting. Sorry, I know I'm happy with the boys had a great season, but it was just I was getting sick of those offloads going to contact and release. And it was a clear game plan. It was like Kevy found a chink in the armor and said, go into contact, free the arm up, drop it underneath, and get the second phase going. So we need to be very clear and sorting that out. And if that is the case, we get that under wraps, and then we start to generate some of our own work on the other side offensively, then we're in for a good run here. And
yeah, well said there. Why don't we get into our predictions now? So first things first, the leading try scorer for the Warriors this year, who do you reckon? Will it be DWZ again this year, or will you guys be going for someone completely different? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going Dal. I'm going Dal still. I think Dal still.
Yeah, same here. Hard to go past him.
Yep, I'll go Dallin as well.
Yep, and leading point scorer should be Sean. Really, I'm going with Sean too. But
it'd be Shawnee.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep, and most tackles. Who do you reckon will be up there in terms of the defensive work this year?
This one's a tough one because it's like, do we want Tohu to get through the work? Because I think Tohu would have been up there. You know what I mean? Like, do we want Tohu to get through another season where he's going to be battered and bruised after every game and all that, making 50 and that? If you're going to go to, Tohu looks like the one option, but I'd like to see the other boys pick up the slack, but Tohu might be the option there.
Yeah, I think the only options you can really go is Tohu or Wade.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Tohu too. But like you said, want someone to help him out a little bit. It hurts watching him play sometimes.
Strapped up and all that, brother.
I'll probably go Capewell. I think if there's numbers going off of that last game, or a dark horse,
I like that.
That might be. Yeah, he's a volume tackler. You can tell that. Jacko Ford as well, but Jacko probably more attacking. Like loves to get a touch. Loves to get a carry. Old Jacko. When he can find one. I think Capewell. I think we're. Capewell will. He'll be more inclined to do the 1%ers. But you're probably saying Tohu if he's waving off Webby in the stands. lead me on. He'll probably,
Yep.
continue.
And leading run scorer, leading run meters. Sorry, leading run meters. Who do you think's gonna top the most meters?
Oh, it'd be Chancey would be up there because Chancey's work that he gets through out the back is a big one.
Yep.
Obviously, we'd love to see Rog get through, like, get back to numbers and all that. But I just see Chance, Chance just eats up those meters, man.
Yeah, I have to agree. I was almost tempted with Rog, but it's like, no, I think, I think Chance. It could end up being Rog just due to the fact that Chance misses like the first month, maybe. But
yeah,
Chance, he's good for like 200 to 300 meters a game.
pretty much.
Easy money.
Yeah.
But I mean, if Roger did it, man, that'd be insane. From the center position, they're like,
From
holy
center.
crap, this guy's a Superman. It depends on Chance. I'd say Chance pretty much. But for a forward, definitely Adam. Yeah, Ads would be up there for me. But yeah, Chance probably overall running meters.
Yeah, and now to the ladder prediction. Where you guys reckon the boys will finish on the ladder at the end of the year?
So this one I've jumped on a little bit as well, but my official one that I put up on YouTube, I did a little live stream or whatever. So feel free if you want to sit around for an hour-long video or whatever, or just skip to the end and see what I picked. But I've gone the Warriors in the top 4 in 4th. I did want to put us a little bit higher and all that, but I had to be a little bit more reserved. But I think we can be a top 4 team again. At worst, hopefully we drop to around that 6 role, but I want to see us as a top 4 team again.
You haven't been reading the media. We're like 16th or 17th apparently.
James Graham, brother, he needs to stop with this.
He changed his mind. I don't know if you saw it, but he did a show, one of his shows, and he said he looked at things and was like, no, I think they could make it. So he turned around.
Rip your hair out, brother. Sorry. If you want to rip your hair out, go to the NRL YouTube channel. They've just put up a ladder prediction where he goes through game by game. And, bro, you will rip your hair out again because he's got a missing 8 again in that.
Yeah, and I saw a thing Aaron Woods said they're going to slide. I did it for our prediction show. I went and I tipped every game this year for the NRL to get a ladder because I wanted to try to make it right. And I got the Warriors at 4th as well.
Yep.
So yeah, top 4 is definitely a shot. They could go higher. I know Gallon thinks they're second place. So but yeah, I'm happy with 4th.
Yeah, I think 4th or 5th round, and that kind of balances things out with travel. Like there can be runs where you just lose 3. It just happens.
Yeah.
But I think I'm saying 4th based off. I think other teams will pick up naturally. Roosters, Souths for me. Broncos should hold or thereabouts. Panthers same again until proven wrong. But yeah, for me, it just goes back to again beating these top 4 teams, top 8. Like even if we come in 5th or 6th, if I've beaten Storm, Roosters, Souths, Panthers, Broncos within that run, I'm happy, man.
Yeah.
I'd say bring on the playoffs. I don't care where we fit. I know I can beat you. Then I'm happy to move in. But yeah, I'm sitting around 4th as well, which I think would be great. But if we could get 2nd place or even 1st, home prelim, lights out. We're going grand final, man.
100%.
We're going to win it.
Shout out the G train for that.
We haven't had a prelim at home, I don't think, in our history, which would be insane.
Be awesome.
Because that would just blimmin'. Yeah, I hope and pray that we come 2nd or 1st, just for that fact. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much wraps up the show. So yeah, we've had a big long one tonight. So it's been great having you guys on. Great to have Ash, Levon from Waz Up TV there, Waz Up Podcast, and Brad from Ingers League Wrap Up. So where can we find you guys? Follow you guys on your socials or your YouTube. Where can we find you?
Yeah, the main one for me, bro, if you jump on TikTok, just look up my name and that. I'm sure you'll find me in that, and YouTube. So they're the 2 main places I do jump onto. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's more of a personal thing on my Instagram, but feel free to look up my name and try and find me there. But yeah, just look up Ash Thomas on YouTube. I'll be like one of the first 2 people, whatever that pops up. So
Awesome.
Yeah, Facebook's probably the best place for me. I've got Ingers League wrap up on there. It links to my Twitter and my Instagram, and links to my show I do every week on New Zealand Sport Radio. And it's where I put all my writing, usually Monday. So I think this Monday coming up will be my season preview, and then the following one will be the review of round 1, so on and so forth. But yeah, Facebook's easiest for me.
If before we close up, big up Fanatics, man, for having us on, and big up the chat as well. Everyone in the chat's awesome, man. Great to be back on and back in the season. Exciting. Find me on Wise Up TV on YouTube. But doing a lot of work with Ash. We do a show called All You Can Eat Warriors on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Do a show, like I said, with the bro Josh Gage, and then we do that post-match show as well. A little bit on Instagram. Still doing my videos, analysis videos. That type of thing, just trying to help everyone out. Learn about our team and what we're doing well. But you can find me at Wise Up on IG, Wise Up on TikTok, and Wise Up Podcast on Twitter. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome stuff. So yeah, once again, like to thank both all 3 of the guests tonight. So you got Ash there, Brad, and Levon from Wise Up Podcast. Definitely it's been a great show. I thought it's been a great show tonight, and we got through and covered the team as best as we can there. So thanks to all the viewers for tuning in. Thanks to all the viewers for your comments in the live chat as well. We really do appreciate all your questions and comments, and make sure you do go and follow all 3 of our guests there, and make sure you do subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. Trying to get to 3K subscribers, the goal by the end of the year. So hopefully we can get there. But also make sure you like the live stream. Don't forget. Make sure you click the thumbs up button on the live stream as well. Share the video live stream around. And if you're watching it back, make sure you comment your thoughts in the YouTube comment section down below. What are your thoughts on the show? And what do you think is going to happen during the season? But guys, that's it. That wraps it up. Have a good rest of the night and enjoy your footy. The footy's back actually tomorrow. NRL in Vegas with the 2 games. So, good luck to those teams. And I'm looking forward to Friday night next week against the Cronulla Sharks. So, bring it on. Can't wait. Cheers, everyone. Have a good one.
Night, guys.